So today I'm going to talk about Jeepers Creepers 3, which is a movie sequel that has been talked about for a long time, waiting for it to come out. People have been anticipating this film for so long if they're fans of the first two films. And it took so long since the last one. 2003 was when the second one came out. So you're talking about 15 years since the last film. With a fan base that, to me, I'm not a huge fan of these movies. I think the first one is pretty scary, especially the ending, but the second one I didn't really think was that great. And this one, to me, is really bad. This is definitely the worst out of the three. I think that, like I said, the first one legitimately had some scary moments and was often really horrifying in a way. And that's because it was original and a new thing. And the second one was just a weird movie. Like, it did have moments where I was like, okay, that's creepy. I like the idea of these kids being stalked on this bus out of the middle of nowhere where they can't run away from this thing. And then we get the third film, which is between one and two, which is weird again. I don't know. Like, I mean, it doesn't bother me too badly whenever they do this with sequels, but it's annoying whenever it's like, oh, this is the third film, but it's before the second, or before the first one, or after the first one, or whatever. It's always, especially with horror movies, it's like that. Like Insidious, The Last Key, and Insidious Chapter 3, they both happen before the first one, which is fine. It's just a little annoying nitpick I have with the titles, because it's just weird that they call it that. But to be fair, what would they call this besides Jeepers Creepers 3? I don't know. I guess that makes sense, I guess, on their end. But the movie itself is pretty bad. I did not. Like I said, the first one I liked a lot. The second one I didn't really. And I think that this one is pretty dumb and over the top. And I think that you can tell it was on a budget. Like, it looked really. It looked bad with the creeper and how the CGI effects were. Because it felt like. Because MGM did the first two, I think, and this one, it's by another company, and MGM lost the rights because MGM is just one of those dying companies that does not do well. So they never made a sequel until now because of that budgetary loss of the company. So they never have been able to. But I think this movie was bought by Myriad or something called that company that made this movie. But I think that it just feels like a sequel that has been so long in development hell and then came out and was just nothing. It just, to me, felt like there was nothing, and the visuals were really bad, and I thought that the characters, there was nobody I cared about at all. I thought that it was just really bland, and I thought that the way, like, in the first two, they do have this thing with the creeper's vehicle. Like, it does have creepy things about it. But I thought it was really over the top in this one, where, like, the creeper, like, this might have happened in the first two, but whenever the creeper's, like, death vehicle shoots out that, like, harpoon kind of thing and just, like, gets somebody, I think it was over the top and cheesy, and the way that the death trap vehicle would have, like, bars that would go like this and just impale you. I mean, that's a cool idea, and that is kind of a scary idea in thought, but in terms of the execution, I just thought it was really silly. And I didn't feel that way with the first one. The second one, like I said, I didn't feel much about that one, but the first one had legitimately good scares, and it actually felt like, since it was the first time they did it, it felt like a better idea, and a more scarier idea. But now that we're in the third one, I just felt like I didn't need this. I just watched it just to be a completionist because I really am in terms of horror movies. I like to see them all, whether they're good or bad. And this one definitely, for me, falls in the bad category. But it's not like the best. I mean, it's not like the worst sequel ever. It's definitely not. It's just really underwhelming and really pointless. And I feel like just every one of these has gone from a good horror movie to an okay horror movie to a really not good one with this one. Trying to think of some positives. I really can't. Besides, I guess Meg Foster, that's cool that we see her in this, but just kind of, there's nothing really to cling on to with her character either. I mean, it just feels like like in Leatherface, a movie that I just watched recently too, that was a horror sequel, prequel, whatever, to the other film in the franchise. That one to me had two good actors in it, but like it didn't give me anything else too. So like this one I felt the same way. It's like they're trying to put these good actors in it, but it just doesn't give me anything else to grip onto, even though the acting's fine with them. And all the new actors in the movie are not good. None of the acting's really good, besides, like, I guess Meg Foster, she's fine. But she's not, like, amazing. It's not like anything that is written well. It's not anything that's interesting, so overall, this movie to me was just completely unwarranted. I thought that it was just didn't feel like I needed to see it. And there might be people who like this one, but I didn't. I didn't think that it was fun. I didn't think that it was entertaining. I didn't think it was legitimately scary like the first one. I thought that it just exists. That's, I guess, all I could say. It exists now, and it went to theaters for like one night only where I live, so I don't know if that's everywhere else. But it's just one of those horror franchises, like a lot of them, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where it's like we're gonna get a lot more of these, but it's not one that I enjoy. Because there are some horror sequels that I love that are terrible, but this just fell into the category of boring bad instead of entertainingly bad. This one was just a bad, pointless sequel, and I thought that it didn't do anything for me. But we're gonna get another one because we did get that cameo at the end that I won't spoil, but there was a cameo at the end, and it was honestly for that last. This is a positive I can give it. That last minute of the movie was fine. I thought that was a cool little cameo from said cameo in the movie. But really, besides that, the rest of the movie was so pointless, and I forgot that this character, in the end, like existed. So like I was like, okay, that's cool to see this character back again, or this actor. But again, I won't spoil it. But if you really want to drudge your way through this, then be my guest. But it's not one that I cared for. And if you like it, that's good. But to me, I did not. I thought it was so boring and pointless. And besides, like that last like minute of the movie, I thought it was just a bore. It was so uninteresting. Not a franchise that I really enjoy though, so that's also my bad too. I'm not a huge fan of this franchise, so but if you are, that's great. I hope that you enjoyed if you do. But for me personally, this one was just a pointless bore.